You know what must be done. The question is, will you do it? Most people know the path. Few walk it. Discipline is the bridge between knowledge and greatness, between desire and achievement. Marcus Aurelius didn't leave behind books. He left behind a battle plan for the soul, a way to govern your emotions, command your actions, and rise above chaos. The disciplined live simple, they live strong, and above all, they live free. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? You know what must be done. The question is, will you do it? Most people know the path. Few walk it. Discipline is the bridge between knowledge and greatness, between desire and achievement. Marcus Aurelius didn't leave behind books. He left behind a battle plan for the soul, a way to govern your emotions, command your actions, and rise above chaos. The disciplined live simple, they live strong, and above all, they live free. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? You already know what must be done. The truth sits in your chest like a burning coal. It wakes you in the morning with its urgency. It keeps you awake at night with its persistence. That business you need to start, that relationship you need to repair, that habit you need to build, that skill you need to master. You know, knowledge surrounds us like air, yet action remains as rare as gold. I've watched generals who could recite every battle strategy ever written freeze in the moment of combat. Philosophers who preach virtue crumble at the first test of character. Leaders who understand power but cannot wield it. Knowledge without action is like a sword that never leaves its sheath. It maintains its shine, but serves no purpose. The war you fight is not against ignorance. That battle you've already won. Your enemy is far more cunning. It is hesitation, that voice that whispers tomorrow, that urge to prepare more, to plan more, to wait for the perfect moment. I tell you now, as I once told myself in the cold, mornings on the frontier, there is no perfect moment. There is only this moment and what you choose to do with it. Consider the nature of action itself. Every great achievement in human history began with a single step taken before its taker felt ready. The first words of every great book were written before the author felt inspired. The first steps of every great journey were taken before the path was clear. The first moves of every great victory were made before success was certain. The disciplined understand this truth. Action is the bridge. Not perfect action, not grand action. Simply action. When I ruled Rome, I didn't have the luxury of waiting for perfect conditions. The empire needed decisions, not deliberations. Enemies wouldn't wait for perfect battle plans. Crises wouldn't pause for complete preparation. The same holds true for your empire, your life. Start small, but start now. If you know you should wake at dawn, set your alarm tonight. If you know you should train your body, do one push-up this moment. If you know you should write, put down one sentence. If you know you should change your diet, make one better choice today. The size of the action matters far less than the decision to act. This is how the disciplined separate themselves from the dreamers. While others wait for motivation, they move. While others seek inspiration, they begin. While others talk about what they will do, they quietly do what must be done. While others wait for the perfect moment, they make this moment perfect through action. Remember, the universe cares nothing for your intentions. It responds only to your actions. Your knowledge, your plans, your goals, these are seeds. But seeds don't grow through wishes. They grow through the daily labor of planting, watering, tending. The smallest action outweighs the grandest intention. The gap between knowing and doing is where most lives are lost. It's a graveyard of potential, filled with the corpses of brilliant ideas that never saw daylight, dreams that died in the dark space between conception and creation, possibilities that perished in the void between planning and execution. The disciplined don't let their dreams die in this gap. They build bridges with small, consistent actions. Here is your task. Identify one thing you know you must do. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now. Let it be small, let it be imperfect, but let it be done. This is how the disciplined begin. This is how empires are built. This is how lives are transformed. Your life expands or contracts in direct proportions to your willingness to act. Each action you take writes your story. Each step you make carves your path. Each move you make shapes your destiny. The knowledge you possess is not your power. It is only potential power. Action is the current that transforms potential into reality. Begin now. Begin small. Begin imperfectly, but begin. The disciplined life awaits on the other side of action. They speak of freedom as if it were a wild beast, untamed and unbound. They chase it in excess, in endless choice, in the rejection of all constraint. But I tell you this, they chase a phantom. True freedom is not the absence of rules. It is the strength to live by worthy ones. Not the rejection of all bounds, but the power to choose your own. I learned this truth not in the comfort of the palace, but in the rigid demands of military life. Every morning, while others slept, I rose before dawn. Every day, while others sought pleasure, I sought wisdom. Every night, while others drank to forget their duties, I wrote to remember mine. And in this discipline, I found something remarkable. I found freedom. The undisciplined man is a prisoner, though his chains are invisible. He is enslaved to his impulses, chained to his comforts, bound by his fears. Watch him closely. He cannot sit in silence because he is prisoner to distraction. He cannot fast because he is prisoner to appetite. He cannot speak truth because he is prisoner to approval. He cannot pursue greatness because he is prisoner to comfort. He calls this freedom. I call it the softest and most dangerous of prisons. Considers the archer. To hit his target, he submits himself to strict rules, the position of his feet, the tension in his bow, the angle of his release. Through this discipline, he gains the freedom to hit any target he chooses. Without it, he is free only to miss. The musician who has mastered scales can improvise. The writer who has mastered grammar can innovate. The warrior who has mastered forms can adapt to any battle. Your discipline is your liberation. Every morning, you rise early. You free yourself from laziness. Every time you speak truth, you free yourself from fear. Every time you do what needs to be done, you free yourself from regret. Every time you resist an impulse, you free yourself from compulsion. Every time you choose the harder path, you free yourself from weakness, but this freedom must be earned daily. It is not given. It is forged. In the heat of your choices, in the hammer blows of your habits, in the cooling waters of your principles. The disciplined man builds his own walls, strong walls, walls of principle, not circumstance, walls that protect, not confine. Within these walls, he is truly free, free from the tyranny of impulse, free from the despotism of desire, free from the constant wind of other people's opinions. Watch how the undisciplined chase freedom. They resist all structure, becoming slaves to chaos. They avoid all commitment, becoming prisoners of aimlessness. They reject all standards, becoming captives of mediocrity. They flee all discomfort, becoming servants of weakness, but the disciplined build freedom differently. They embrace structure that serves their purpose. They commit to paths that expand their capabilities. They set standards that elevate their actions. They choose challenges that strengthen their character. This is the paradox that the undisciplined never understand. Structure creates freedom. The train is free precisely because it has tracks. The river is free precisely because it has banks. The dance is free precisely because it has rhythm. Your life becomes free precisely because it has discipline. Your freedom must be built systematically. First, free your mind through study and reflection. Then, free your time through organization and priority. Next, free your actions through practice and principle. Finally, free your potential through discipline and devotion. Remember, the chains of discipline weigh ounces, but the chains of regret weigh tons. Choose your chains wisely, for in choosing discipline, you choose freedom. Not the shallow freedom of doing whatever you feel, but the deep freedom of being able to achieve whatever you will. Let others live as prisoners of their impulses. Let them serve their comforts. Let them bow to their fears. You have chosen differently. You understand that true freedom is not the absence of constraints, but the presence of chosen ones. Not the lack of rules, but the strength to live by noble ones. Build your walls. Set your rules. Follow them with the conviction of a warrior and the consistency of the rising sun. This is how the disciplined win their freedom. This is how they keep it. For in the end, discipline is not the opposite of freedom. It is the path to it. Before you conquer the world, you must conquer the battlefield of your mind. Your thoughts are not passing clouds. They are the foundation of your empire. The untamed mind is a city without walls, vulnerable to every invading force, doubt, fear, anger, desire. But the disciplined mind, it is an impenetrable citadel. I learned this truth not from books, but from governing an empire under siege. Each morning, as I faced decisions that would shape the fate of millions, I first had to master the chaos within. External threats, barbarians. At the borders, conspirators in the Senate, plagues in the streets, these were secondary. The primary battle was always internal. This is your first and most crucial battlefield. Your thoughts are your soldiers. Your principles are your walls. Your attention is your gate. Like any citadel, your mind must be fortified, trained, and guarded with vigilance. The undisciplined mind is like a city with broken walls. Every passing thought, every stray emotion, every random desire can enter and take control. Begin with the foundations. Every morning before the world makes its demands, strengthen your mental walls. Question your assumptions. Examine your fears. Challenge your desires. Ask yourself, what thoughts serve the empire of my life? What thoughts undermine it? Be ruthless in this audit. A single weak stone can compromise the strongest wall. The disciplined mind has clear zones of control. The outer wall, what you allow to enter your awareness. The middle ground, what you choose to dwell upon. The inner sanctum, what you allow to influence your decisions. The central tower, your unchanging principles, guard your gates with particular care. Your attention is the entry point to your inner citadel. In my time, it was messengers and petitioners at the palace gates. In yours, it is the endless stream of information, entertainment, and distraction. Not everything that demands entry deserves it. Be selective. Be strategic. Your mental, really. A state is too valuable to be occupied by squatters. Establish clear protocols for different types of thoughts. When anger approaches your gates, let it wait outside until reason can examine it. When desire seeks immediate entry, let it state its business first. When fear demands audience, test its credentials against reality. When doubt requests entry, examine its papers carefully. Train your mental soldiers, your responses to life's challenges. When insult comes, let it break against your walls like a wave against stone. When praise arrives, view it with the same calm detachment. When fear whispers of future disasters, remember, the future exists only in thought. When ambition urges hasty action, let wisdom check its advance. But a citadel is not built for isolation. It is built for strength. From a fortified mind, you can engage with the world from a position of power. You can extend mercy without fear of exploitation. You can take action without being swayed by every passing opinion. You can pursue your purpose without being derailed. By every passing distraction, you can face challenges without being shaken by every passing storm. Remember, the strength of your inner citadel is tested not in meditation, but in battle. Can you maintain clarity when others panic? Can you hold to principles when expediency calls? Can you keep your purpose in mind when distractions abound? Can you stay steady when emotions storm? Build your citadel with daily habits. Each morning review strengthens your walls. Each moment of mindful attention trains your guards. Each principled decision reinforces your foundation. Each challenge met fortifies your defenses. This is not work you complete, it is work you continue. Every day you must. Inspect your walls for breaches, train your guards for vigilance, strengthen your foundations for stability, clear your spaces for clarity. Let others leave their minds unguarded. Let them live at the mercy of every passing thought and emotion. You have chosen the path of discipline. Your mind is your empire. Fortify it, guard it, rule it, for from this inner citadel all outer victories become possible. Time is not a river, flowing endlessly. It is your life force draining away, drop by precious drop. Each minute spent is a minute that will never return. Each hour invested is an hour of your life exchanged. Yet look around you. Look at how the undisciplined treat this most precious of resources. They kill time as if they were immortal. In governing Rome, I learned that an empire's strength lies not in what it acquires, but in what it eliminates. Unnecessary wars, wasteful spending, corrupt officials, excessive luxury. The same principle applies to your personal empire. Your power grows not through endless addition, but through strategic subtraction. Every yes is 1,000 implicit no's. Every commitment is a sacrifice of countless alternatives. The disciplined understand this mathematics of time. They know that to say yes to what matters, they must become masters of saying no to what doesn't. Each unnecessary thing you keep in your life is energy stolen from what's necessary. Begin with the obvious waste, the hours lost to mindless scrolling, the energy drained by toxic relationships, the attention scattered across trivial concerns, the resources spent on empty status symbols. Cut these first and cut deep. Do not bandage wounds that need cauterization, but elimination goes deeper than obvious waste. Even good things, worthy things, must sometimes be eliminated for better things to flourish. A general cannot fight on every front. A farmer cannot cultivate every field. You cannot excel in every arena. Sometimes you must eliminate the good to create space for the great. Ask yourself these questions with brutal honesty. What in your life is merely good, preventing you from achieving what could be great? What habits do you maintain out of routine, rather than purpose? What relationships do you preserve out of obligation, rather than value? What activities fill your time without advancing your purpose? The disciplined life is often more notable for what it excludes than what it contains. Consider my own writings, not published works meant to impress, but private notes stripped to essential truth. In your own life, what can be stripped away? What complexity can be simplified? What noise can be silenced? Here is a hard truth. Most of what occupies your time and attention right now is unnecessary. Most of your possessions, most of your worries, most of your supposed obligations, most of your daily activities, they are not the core of your life. They are the debris collecting around it. Start your elimination with this question. Does this serve my highest purpose? Not, is this useful? Not, could this be valuable? Not, might this matter someday? But, does this serve my highest purpose? Be severe in this questioning. Be ruthless in your answers. Watch how this principle transforms your daily choices. Instead of asking, what should I add? Ask, what can I remove? Instead of seeking more opportunities, eliminate distractions. Instead of gathering more resources, optimize what you have. Instead of expanding your commitments, deepen your focus. Remember, nature abhors a vacuum. The space you clear will be filled. Make your cuts with purpose, ensuring that what flows into the void serves your chosen direction. Empty your cup not just to empty it, but to fill it with something better. This is not a one-time cleaning. It is a daily practice. Each morning ask, what can I eliminate today? Each evening, reflect, what could I have done without? Each week review, what systems can I simplify? Each month evaluate, what commitments can I release? The disciplined life is a constant refinement, a perpetual paring away of the unnecessary. It requires regular audit of your possessions, consistent review of your commitments, periodic evaluation of your relationships, continuous examination of your activities. Let others clutter their lives with endless accumulation. Let them mistake quantity for quality, activity for achievement, busyness for purpose. You know better. You understand that true power lies in elimination, in focus, in the courage to do less, but with total commitment. Your time is your life. Guard it with the ferocity of a warrior protecting his last breath. Cut what doesn't serve. Eliminate what doesn't matter. Focus your force on what truly counts. This is how the disciplined win, not by doing more, but by doing what matters. The path of least resistance leads to the cemetery of potential. Look at nature. Everything strong, everything worthy, is forged through resistance. The oak grows mighty because it fights the wind. The eagle soars highest because it battles gravity. The sword becomes sharp because it endures the forge. The pearl forms because the oyster embraces irritation. Yet modern life conspires to make you weak. It offers you comfort at every turn, convenience at every step, 1,000 ways to avoid necessary struggle. And in this comfort, in this convenience, your strength slowly dies. The muscles of your will atrophy. The sinews of your resolve weaken. The fiber of your character softens. The disciplined understand a truth that others avoid. Strength grows in discomfort. Not in random suffering. There is no virtue in pointless pain, but in chosen challenges, in deliberate hardship, in the voluntary embrace of difficult paths. The weight that breaks the weak builds the strong. I learned this truth not in the luxury of the palace, but in the hardship of military campaigns. Every comfort I denied myself, every difficult duty I embraced, built strength for greater challenges. The cold morning bath hardened me against winter campaigns. The plain food prepared me for times of scarcity. The long hours of study equipped me for complex decisions. The voluntary discomfort trained me for unavoidable hardship. This is your task. Choose the harder path on purpose, not to prove anything to anyone, not to appear strong, but to become strong, to build the resilience that life will inevitably demand of you. The challenges you choose prepare you for the challenges you cannot choose. Begin with small hardships. If you can take a hot shower, take a cold one. If you can use the elevator, take the stairs. If you can drive, walk. If you can sit, stand. If you can sleep in, wake early. These are not grand gestures. They are daily exercises in choosing strength over comfort, progress to bigger challenges. If you can speak later, speak now. If you can delay the difficult conversation, have it today. If you can delegate the hard decision, make it yourself. If you can avoid the complex problem, tackle it first. If you can stay in your comfort zone, step out deliberately. Each difficult choice is a rep in the gymnasium of discipline. But remember, the goal is not hardship itself. The goal is strength. Choose difficulties that serve your purpose. Physical challenges that build bodily resilience. Mental challenges that sharpen your mind. Emotional challenges that strengthen your character. Spiritual challenges that deepen your understanding. A warrior trains with weighted armor not to wear it forever, but to make the real armor feel lighter in battle. Watch how your relationship with difficulty changes. What once seemed hard becomes normal. What once seemed impossible becomes challenging. What once seemed challenging becomes routine. What once seemed unthinkable becomes possible. This is the alchemy of chosen hardship. It transforms not just your capabilities, but your perception of what's possible. Learn to welcome resistance as a teacher. When a task seems difficult, pause. When your mind searches for easier alternatives, stop. When comfort calls you to retreat, advance. When the easy path beckons, choose the hard one. This resistance is not a warning to retreat. It is an invitation to grow. Understand this: the easy path will always be available. The comfortable choice will always beckon. The path of least resistance will always exist. The easy way out will always offer itself. The soft option will always tempt. Your strength lies not in having no alternative, But in choosing the harder path when you do have a choice, let others seek ease. Let them shrink from difficulty. Let them choose comfort over growth. Let them take the path of least resistance. Let them avoid necessary challenges. You have chosen differently. This is not a path for everyone. It requires you to befriend discomfort. It demands you seek out challenge. It asks you to choose again and again the harder way. It calls you to embrace what others avoid. But for those who walk it, this path leads to a kind of freedom others never know. The freedom that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you. Choose your hardships wisely, but choose them regularly. Let each difficult choice be a brick in the foundation of your strength. For in the end, life will test you not on your comfort, but on your capacity to handle discomfort. And on that day, you will be grateful for every hard path you chose to walk. The undisciplined waste their strength fighting the wind. They rage against circumstances they cannot change. They exhaust themselves in battles they cannot win. They break themselves against immovable forces. But the disciplined, they understand the art of proper force, knowing what they can control, accepting what they cannot, and having the wisdom to know the difference. I learned this lesson not from philosophy books, but from governing an empire. Plagues, invasions, natural disasters, the deaths of loved ones, these were beyond my control. But the response to these challenges, the preparation, the allocation of resources, the maintenance of order, these were within my grasp. A leader who cannot make this distinction soon loses both his empire and his mind. Your life is no different. At this very moment, countless forces operate beyond your control. The weather, other people's opinions, the past, the markets, time itself, others' choices, natural events, genetic inheritance. The disciplined do not waste energy wrestling with these immovables. They focus their force where it can actually make a difference. Begin by drawing clear lines. What in this moment is truly within your control? Your thoughts, your actions, your responses, your effort, your principles, your attention, your priorities, your choices. These are your domain. Guard them jealously. Master them completely. Let everything else fall into the category of not my business. This is not resignation. It is strategic focus. When a storm approaches, the wise captain doesn't waste energy cursing the wind. He adjusts his sails. He plots his course. He controls what he can control. This is your model. This is how you maintain power in a world of uncertainty. Watch how this principle clarifies your life. Someone insults you. What's in your control? Not their words, but your response. An opportunity is lost. What's in your control? Not the past, but your next move. The market crashes. What's in your control? Not the economy, but your adaptation. Others succeed. What's in your control? Not their journey, but your own path. Time passes. What's in your control? Not its flow, but your use of it. The disciplined gain tremendous power from this distinction. They do not spread their force thin, trying to control the uncontrollable. They focus it entirely on what they can affect. They channel their energy into actionable areas. They invest their strength in controllable factors like a laser rather than a floodlight. Their energy becomes concentrated and effective, but this principle demands something difficult: acceptance. Not passive acceptance, not defeatism, but clear-eyed recognition of reality. The traffic is bad. Accept it, then use the time productively. The weather disrupts your plans. Accept it. Then adapt. Someone doesn't like you. Accept it. Then focus on those who do. A setback occurs. Accept it. Then find the opportunity within it. This acceptance isn't weak. It's powerful. It frees up the energy you would have wasted on futile resistance. It allows you to see situations clearly without emotional distortion. It enables you to respond effectively rather than react blindly. It gives you the power to direct your force where it can actually make a difference. Develop this habit. Before any expenditure of energy, ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, give it your full attention. If no, give it your full acceptance. No half measures in either direction. Control what you can control completely. Accept what you cannot control completely. Let others exhaust themselves, trying to control. The uncontrollable raging against reality, fighting with the unchangeable, wasting strength on futile battles, you know better. You understand that true power comes not from trying to control everything, but from controlling the right things completely. This is a daily practice. Each morning, draw your lines clearly. Each day, focus your force precisely. Each evening, review. Your expenditure of energy. Each moment, choose your battles wisely. No energy wasted on the immovable. No acceptance wasted on the controllable. Remember, the size of your influence matters far less than its effectiveness. Better to have complete control over a small domain than ineffective influence over a large one. Focus your force where it can actually make a difference. This is how the disciplined change what can be changed and find peace with what cannot. The obstacle in your path is not your enemy, it is your ally. What blocks your way becomes your way. This is not mere philosophy, it is practical alchemy. The art of turning barriers into bridges, resistance into strength, obstacles into fuel, problems into power. This is how the disciplined transform their world. I write this not from theory, but from the battlefield of experience. When plague struck Rome, others saw only disaster. I saw an opportunity to strengthen our medical knowledge and public health systems. When armies threatened our borders, others saw crisis. I saw a chance to reform and improve our military structure. When betrayal came from within, others saw catastrophe. I saw an opportunity to demonstrate the power of principle over expediency. The undisciplined see obstacles and stop. They curse their bad luck. They blame circumstances. They wait for conditions to improve. But the disciplined see obstacles and grow. This is the fundamental difference. Every barrier you face today is raw material for your advancement, if you know how to use it. Consider the nature of fire. It consumes everything in its path: wood, cloth, paper. But what happens to steel in fire? It becomes stronger. What happens to gold in fire? It becomes purer. What happens to clay in fire? It becomes permanent. The disciplined approach obstacles like steel approaches fire as an opportunity for tempering. Begin with this shift in perception. The obstacle is not in your way. The obstacle is the way, that difficult person in your life. They're not preventing your growth. They're forcing you to develop patience and understanding that lack of resources. It's not limiting you. It's teaching you creativity and efficiency. That setback, it's not defeating you. It's showing you where you need to grow. That failure, it's not defining you. It's teaching you how to succeed. This is not positive thinking. It is strategic thinking. The wrestler becomes stronger by wrestling stronger opponents. The sword becomes sharper by meeting harder materials. The mind becomes clearer by solving harder problems. Your discipline becomes greater by facing greater challenges. But this principle demands more than perception. It demands action. When you meet an obstacle, ask yourself, how can I use this? What quality can this develop in me? What advantage can I derive from this situation? What strength can this build in my character? What opportunity lies hidden within this? Challenge? Take your current obstacles, list them. Now, for each one, find the hidden opportunity, lack of time, opportunity to develop focus and efficiency, limited resources, opportunity to innovate and be creative, difficult people, opportunity to practice patience and diplomacy, physical limitations, opportunity to strengthen other capabilities, personal setbacks, opportunity to develop resilience and adaptability. The disciplined don't just overcome obstacles, they harvest them, like a farmer who doesn't just clear rocks from his field, but uses them to build walls, like a sailor who doesn't just endure the wind, but uses it to power his vessel. Like a martial artist who doesn't just block attacks, but uses the attacker's force. Like an alchemist who doesn't just handle base metals, but transforms them into gold. This is a skill you can develop. Start small. When something goes wrong in your day, pause. Instead of reacting with frustration, ask, how can I use this? When plans fail, instead of despairing, ask, what does this make possible? When resistance appears, instead of retreating, ask, what can this teach me? When problems arise, instead of complaining, ask, how can this serve me? Remember, the obstacle is not the end of the path, it is the path. Every barrier you face is training ground for your discipline. Every resistance you meet is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. Every problem you encounter is a chance to demonstrate your capability. Every setback you experience is an opportunity to prove your resilience. Let others be stopped by obstacles. Let them complain about barriers. Let them wait for an easier path. Let them seek perfect conditions. Let them blame their circumstances. You have chosen differently. You understand that the obstacle is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your training. Ground your opportunity, your advantage, your path to growth. This is how empires are built, not by avoiding challenges, but by using them, not by seeking the easy way, but by mastering the hard way, not by circumventing obstacles, but by transforming them, not by wishing for fewer problems, but by developing greater capability, not by avoiding resistance, but by turning it into fuel. This is how discipline is forged, not in comfort, but in conflict, not in ease, but in challenge, not in avoidance, but in engagement, not in retreat, but in advance, not in surrender, but in transformation. Take your current obstacle, the one that seems most insurmountable. Look at it again. What opportunity lies within it? What strength can it build in you? What advantage can you derive from it? What transformation can it create? Then act. Turn what blocks you into what propels you. This is the way of the disciplined. You are the emperor of your own life. Your thoughts are your subjects. Your habits are your laws. Your attention is your treasury. Your will is your army. How are you governing this empire? The undisciplined rule like tyrants, reactive, inconsistent, swayed by every crisis. The disciplined govern like philosophers with wisdom, consistency, and clear principles. I speak not from theory, but from experience. Ruling Rome taught me that an empire's strength lies not in its size, but in its governance. The same applies to your personal empire. It's not about controlling more, it's about governing well what you already control. Not about expanding territory, but about strengthening foundations. The first principle of self-governance. You are not your impulses. You are the one who judges them. When anger appears in your court, you decide whether to grant it audience. When desire presents its case, you determine its merit. When fear demands immediate action, you choose whether to comply when doubt seeks. To influence policy, you evaluate its evidence. Like an emperor hearing petitioners, you choose what to admit and what to dismiss. Establish your laws, your personal principles, and hold to them with imperial authority. Not because someone else demands it, not because convention expects it, not because society rewards it, but because you have determined these laws serve your empire. The undisciplined need external rules. The disciplined are the rule. Consider how an emperor makes decisions, not by what feels good in the moment, not by what others expect, not by what is easy or convenient, but by what serves the empire's highest good. Apply the same standard to your choices. Will this strengthen or weaken your empire? Will this build or erode your authority? Will this serve or undermine your highest purpose? Your habits are your imperial edicts. They shape your empire more surely than any single decision they influence. Your realm more deeply than any temporary decree. They determine your fate more certainly than any occasional choice. Make them with careful deliberation. Execute them with consistent authority. Guard your borders with vigilance. Your attention is your empire's most precious resource. Don't let every wandering thought cross your borders freely. Don't allow every passing distraction to claim your territory. Don't permit every idle amusement to drain your treasury. Don't let Every random request occupy your time. Be selective, be strategic. Your mental territory is too valuable to leave undefended. But remember, a wise emperor is not a tyrant. There must be balance, periods of strict governance balanced with periods of rest, high standards tempered with self-compassion, discipline served with wisdom, not brutality, authority exercised with purpose, not pride. Hold court with yourself daily. Morning and evening, review your empire's state. Are your thoughts serving your purpose? Are your habits building or eroding your strength? Is your attention focused on what truly matters? Are your actions aligned with your principles? Is your will being exercised with wisdom? Are your resources being used effectively? Is your territory being defended properly? Are your subjects, your thoughts and desires, being governed justly? Set standards higher than what the world demands. The world may be satisfied with mediocrity. The world may accept good enough. The world may praise partial effort. The world may reward appearance over substance, but you are not governing your life for the world's approval. You are governing it for excellence. Watch how this mindset transforms your daily choices. You don't need an external deadline. You have imperial standards. You don't need someone watching. You have imperial oversight. You don't need external motivation. You have imperial purpose. You don't need others' approval. You have imperial authority. You don't need constant recognition. You have imperial dignity. Let others govern themselves weakly. Let them live at the mercy of their impulses. Let them rule reactively and inconsistently. Let them surrender their authority to circumstance. Let them abdicate their throne to comfort. You have chosen to rule with philosophy, with wisdom, with discipline. Remember, every choice is an imperial decree. Every action sets a precedent. Every habit shapes your empire's culture. Every decision influences your realm's future. Every principle determines your legacy. Govern yourself not like a temporary ruler seeking quick pleasure, but like an emperor building for eternity. Your empire may be invisible to others, but its effects will be clear to all. In your calm during crisis, in your consistency during chaos. In your commitment to standards, few understand. In your dedication to principles, few maintain. In your pursuit of excellence, few achieve. Rule yourself like the empire you are. Set high standards, guard your borders, make wise laws, execute them with consistency, build for the ages. This is how the disciplined govern themselves. This is how inner empires are built. The battle for your day is won or lost in the first hour, while others stumble into their mornings, reacting to whatever chaos greets them. The disciplined seize this precious time. They know what I learned through years of imperial duty. How you begin determines how you continue. The first hour is the rudder of the day. I rose before dawn not because I enjoyed early hours, but because I understood their power. In those quiet moments, before the weight of empire pressed upon me, I could strengthen my mind, align my purpose, and prepare for whatever challenges awaited. Your empire may be different, but the principle remains the same. The morning is the foundation upon which your day is built. The morning is your advantage. While others sleep, you build. While others drift, you direct. While others dream, you act. While others delay, you begin. While others react, you create. This is not about being an early bird. It is about commanding your time before time commands you. Begin with a non-negotiable morning ritual. Mine involved reading philosophy, cold water immersion, physical exercise, strategic planning, mental preparation. Yours may be different, but it must be consistent. This ritual is not about comfort. It is about preparation. The power of the morning lies in its silence. Before the world's noise intrudes, before opinions cloud your thinking, before demands fragment your attention, before chaos scatters your focus, before urgency displaces importance, you have a chance to hear your own wisdom. Use this time to ask yourself, what must be done today? What principles will guide my actions? What challenges must I prepare for? What strengths must I summon? What opportunities must I seize? What threats must I neutralize? But morning mastery requires evening discipline. You cannot command your morning if you surrender your evening to chaos. You cannot seize the dawn if you waste the dusk. You cannot own your first hour if you lose your last. Set a clear end to your day. Prepare for tomorrow. Make your morning decisions the night before. Your morning routine is not a luxury. It is a strategic necessity. It is the difference between directing your day and drifting through it, between acting with purpose and reacting to pressure, between leading your life and following it, between commanding events and being commanded by them. Watch how this morning mastery transforms your entire day. You move with intention rather than reaction. You work from purpose rather than pressure. You respond from wisdom rather than impulse. You act from strategy rather than emergency. You operate from strength rather than survival. The disciplined understand that willpower is highest in the morning. They use this truth to their advantage. Important decisions, make them early, difficult tasks. Face them first, creative work. Do it when your mind is fresh, strategic thinking. Schedule it at dawn. Don't waste your strongest hours on trivial matters. Protect your morning routine with imperial authority. Others will try to claim this time through meetings, through messages, through manufactured urgencies, through mundane demands. Guard it as you would guard your life, for in a very real sense, you are guarding your life, your ability to live it with purpose, your power to shape it with intention, your capacity to fill it with meaning, your opportunity to direct it with wisdom. This is not about perfection. Even emperors face disrupted mornings. Even warriors miss their training. Even sages lose their routine. But it is about priority. When your morning routine must bend, let it bend, but never break. Return to it as a warrior returns to his training, knowing it is the foundation of his strength, understanding it is the source of his power, recognizing it is the key to his victory. Accepting it is the path to his mastery. Remember, the way you begin your day is a declaration of who is in command, your discipline or your distractions, your purpose or your impulses, your will or your weaknesses, your intentions or your circumstances. Choose wisely. Win your morning, win your day. This is not a motto. It is a method. Not a suggestion, it is a strategy. Not an option, it is an imperative. Not a preference. It is a principle. Rise early. Begin strong, command your day, shape your destiny, forge your future. This is how the disciplined ensure their victory before others even enter the fight. Life owes you nothing. This truth, harsh as winter wind, is the foundation of true preparation. The undisciplined expect life to be fair, circumstances to be favorable, luck to be kind. The disciplined expect nothing and prepare for everything. They understand that the universe is neither malevolent nor benevolent. It is simply indifferent. I write this from experience, not theory. As emperor, I saw how quickly fortune's wheel could turn. Abundance could become scarcity, peace could become war, health could become plague, victory could become defeat, loyalty could become betrayal. Those who expected stability were destroyed by change. Those who prepared for change survived and thrived. This is your first task. Kill your expectations, all of them. Expect nothing from life. Expect nothing from others. Expect nothing from circumstances. Expect nothing from fortune. Not because you're pessimistic, but because you're strategic. The archer who expects every shot to hit becomes weak. The archer who expects nothing but prepares completely becomes masterful. But killing expectations does not mean killing preparation. Quite the opposite. When you expect nothing, you can prepare for everything. When you assume nothing, you can ready yourself for anything. When you demand nothing, you can adapt to everything. When you count on nothing, you can handle anything. This is the paradox that strengthens the disciplined. Watch how this transforms your approach. Instead of expecting success, prepare for both victory and defeat. Instead of expecting support, prepare to succeed alone. Instead of expecting clarity, prepare to navigate confusion. Instead of expecting fairness, prepare to overcome injustice. Instead of expecting recognition, prepare to work in silence. The disciplined mind is like a fortress with no blind spots. It doesn't hope attackers won't come. It prepares defenses in every direction. It doesn't wish for good weather. It prepares for storms. It doesn't expect supplies. It stores resources. It doesn't assume peace. It maintains readiness. It doesn't count on allies. It builds self-sufficiency. Begin your preparation with the fundamentals. Physical preparation. Your body must be ready for any challenge. Your strength must be available when needed. Your endurance must outlast difficulty. Your health must support your purpose. Mental preparation. Your mind must be sharp and resilient. Your thoughts must be clear and focused. Your decisions must be swift and sound. Your strategy must be adaptable and strong emotional preparation. Your spirit must be steady in chaos. Your courage must rise with danger. Your calm must deepen with crisis. Your resolve must strengthen with challenge technical preparation. Your skills must be honed and ready. Your knowledge must be deep and practical. Your capabilities must be tested and proven. Your expertise must be maintained and expanded. But remember, preparation is not paranoia. The paranoid person expects disaster and becomes paralyzed. The prepared person expects nothing and becomes empowered. The paranoid lives in fear of what might happen. The prepared lives in readiness for whatever comes. This readiness must become your natural state. Like a soldier who keeps his weapon clean, like a sailor who watches the weather, like a merchant who maintains his accounts, like a farmer who tends his fields, constant preparation becomes a way of life. Consider how this mindset transforms daily choices. You don't hope for good opportunities. You create readiness for any opportunity. You don't wish for fewer problems. You develop capability to handle any problem. You don't expect perfect conditions. You build ability to succeed in any condition. You don't wait for the right moment. You make yourself ready for any moment. The disciplined understand that life tests preparation, not expectations. When crisis comes, it doesn't ask what you expected. It asks what you prepared for. When opportunity appears, it doesn't care what you hoped for. It cares what you're ready for. Let others live in the fantasy of expectations. Let them be surprised by change. Let them be shocked by challenge. Let them be unprepared for reality. Let them be victims of circumstance you have chosen differently. This preparation must be constant but calm, like breathing, like the steady sharpening of a blade, like the daily inspection of armor, like the regular maintenance of tools. Not frantic activity, but consistent readiness. Remember, the universe is neither your friend nor your enemy. It is your training ground. It doesn't care about your expectations. It responds only to your preparation. It tests only your readiness. Prepare as if everything depends on your preparation, because it does. Expect as if nothing depends on your expectations, because it doesn't. This is the way of the disciplined warrior. This is how you become unshakable. This is how you remain undefeated. No matter what comes, you are ready. Desire is a fire. In the hands of the undisciplined, it becomes a wildfire, consuming everything in its path: time, energy, resources, judgment, character, destiny. But in the hands of the disciplined, it becomes a forge, transforming raw material into strength, purpose into power, challenge into triumph. The difference lies not in the intensity of the desire, but in the mastery of the one who wields it. I learned this truth not from books, but from observing both myself and others in power. I saw how uncontrolled desire destroyed emperors more surely than any external enemy. Desire for pleasure destroyed their bodies. Desire for praise corrupted their judgment. Desire for power twisted their character. Desire for wealth poisoned their legacy. Yet I also saw how controlled desire built. Greatness drove achievement, forged legacy. Your first task is to understand. You are not your desires. You are the one who chooses which desires to feed and which to starve, like a ruler deciding which forces to strengthen, like a general choosing which troops to deploy, like a farmer selecting which crops to cultivate, like an archer selecting which targets to pursue. You must become master of your desires, not servant to them. Begin with awareness. What truly drives your actions, not what you claim drives them, not what you wish drove them, not what others think drives them, but what actually moves you. Watch yourself with imperial scrutiny. Ask yourself these penetrating questions. Do you work for excellence or for praise? Do you pursue goals for growth or for glory? Do you help others for service or for status? Do you create for expression or for attention? Do you achieve for mastery or for recognition? The disciplined don't try to eliminate desire. They direct it, like a river that can either flood a valley or power a city, like a wind that can either destroy structures or drive ships, like a fire that can either consume a forest or forge steel, like a force that can either destroy or create desire, must be channeled, not destroyed. Learn to distinguish between natural desires and artificial ones. Natural desires: growth, contribution, mastery, connection. Understanding creation, artificial desires. Status, endless. Consumption, constant approval. Immediate pleasure, perfect conditions. External validation, the artificial desires are like mercenaries, expensive, unreliable, ultimately loyal to no one, always demanding more, never truly satisfied. The natural desires are like loyal soldiers. They serve your true purpose. They grow stronger. With proper leadership, they remain faithful through hardship. They build lasting strength. They create genuine value. Watch how the undisciplined handle desire. They want without asking why. They pursue without examining costs. They consume without considering consequences. They crave without questioning purpose. They chase without strategic direction. But the disciplined approach desire differently. They examine each desire's origin. They evaluate each desire's cost. They consider each desire's consequence. They align each desire with purpose. They channel each desire's energy. Your desires will test you daily. The urge to quit when discipline demands persistence. The pull toward distraction when focus is needed. The craving for comfort when growth requires discomfort. The hunger for praise when silence serves better. The wish for ease when effort is required. Each is a moment of choice. Will your desires rule you, or will you rule them? Will they direct your life, or will you direct them? Will they determine your destiny, or will you determine theirs? Develop practical strategies for desire management. Delay gratification to test desire's authenticity. Question desires. Will this serve my highest good? Channel desires toward worthy goals. Use desire's energy for purposeful action. Transform wanting into worthy pursuit. Remember, desire is not your enemy. Undisciplined desire is like fire. Desire can either serve or destroy. The difference lies not in the strength of the desire, but in the strength of the one directing it. Not in its intensity, but in its mastery. Let others be slaves to their desires. Let them chase every craving. Let them indulge every impulse. Let them follow every fleeting want. Let them surrender to every urge you have chosen differently. This mastery is not achieved through rigid denial, but through wise direction. Like a skilled archer who doesn't fight the wind, but adjusts for it, you learn to work with desire's energy, while maintaining control over its direction. Your discipline is the hand that holds the reins of desire. Hold too tight, and you strangle initiative. Hold too loose, and you invite chaos. Find the balance firm enough for control, loose enough for power. This is how the disciplined relate to desire, not through fear, not through indulgence, but through mastery. They make desire serve purpose, rather than letting purpose serve desire. This is your path. Master desire. Direct its force, channel its power, use its energy, and you master life itself. Praise and criticism are like the weather. changeable, unreliable, and ultimately irrelevant to your true course. The undisciplined live at the mercy of others' opinions, rising and falling with each word of approval or criticism. The disciplined remain unmoved, anchored in principles rather than praise, rooted in purpose rather than reputation. I write this from the unique perspective of an emperor who was also a philosopher. I saw how praise could corrupt good leaders and criticism could destroy weak ones. Praise made them dependent on approval. Criticism made them hesitate in action. Applause made them chase popularity. Condemnation made them abandon principle. But I also discovered a truth. The opinions of others have only the power we give them. Begin with this understanding. Most praise is not for you, and most criticism is not about you. When people praise, they often praise their own preferences reflected in your actions. When they criticize, they often criticize their own fears projected onto your choices. When they approve of what serves their interests. When they disapprove of what threatens their comfort. Watch how the undisciplined handle praise. They believe it completely. They become addicted to it. They alter their course to chase it. They collapse when it's withdrawn. They lose themselves in pursuit of it. And how they handle criticism. They take it personally. They become defensive. They let it stop their progress. They remember it forever. They allow it to define them, but the disciplined approach both differently. They understand that praise and criticism are information, not identity. Like a scientist examining data, like a general receiving reports, like a ruler hearing petitioners, like a craftsman testing materials, they extract what's useful and discard what's not. When praise comes, examine it for actual merit. Accept what serves truth. Remain focused on principles. Continue your chosen path. Use it as feedback, not fuel. When criticism comes, extract any valid insights. Discard emotional attacks. Use it to strengthen. Resolve, maintain your course. Learn without being diminished. The disciplined understand that true worth cannot be praised or criticized. It can only be lived. Your discipline is not for show. Your principles are not for approval. Your path is not for applause. Your worth is not in their words. Your value is not in their verdict. Consider, the sun doesn't shine brighter with praise or dimmer with criticism. The mountain doesn't grow taller with compliments. The ocean doesn't deepen with admiration. The truth doesn't change with opinion. Why should your resolve be different? This detachment must be practiced daily. When someone praises your work, say, "Thank you," and return to your work. When someone criticizes your choices, say, "Interesting," perspective, and continue your path. When someone attacks your character, remember, their words reveal them, not you. When someone questions your decisions, reflect, does this serve truth or ego? But remember, detachment is not arrogance. The disciplined don't ignore feedback. They process it differently. They ask, does this feedback align with my principles? Does it contain useful truth? Will it serve my highest purpose? Is it actionable wisdom or mere opinion? Let others live and die by the opinions of the crowd. Let them chase praise like beggars chase coins. Let them flee criticism like sheep flee wolves. Let them rise and fall with each passing comment. Let them dance to whatever tune others play. You have chosen differently. Your worth is not in their words. Your path is not in their opinions. Your strength is not in their approval. Your purpose is not in their praise. Your direction is not in their criticism. The disciplined find their worth in their principles, their path in their purpose, their strength in their character, their validation in their values, their direction in their discipline. This is not easy. The hunger for approval runs deep. The fear of criticism cuts sharp. The desire for recognition pulls strong. The need for validation calls loud. But each time you stand unmoved by praise, each time you continue despite criticism, you grow stronger. Remember, the crowd once praised Caesar and crucified Christ. The mob once exalted tyrants and executed sages. The masses once celebrated folly and condemned wisdom. The public once worshipped false gods and rejected truth. Why would you let their opinions define your worth? Stand in your truth like a mountain stands in a storm, unmoved by either gentle rain or raging winds, unswayed by either soft breezes or harsh gales, unaffected by either light showers or heavy downpours. Let your principles be your foundation, your purpose be your guide, your character be your judge. This is how the disciplined remain unshakable. In a world of shifting opinions, in a sea of changing verdicts, in a storm of passing judgments, in a climate of constant evaluation, they stand firm in their truth, steady in their purpose, strong in their principles. Greatness is not born in moments of inspiration. It is built in moments of repetition. The undisciplined chase novelty, always seeking the new, the different, the exciting. The disciplined understand a deeper truth. Power lies not in variety, but in relentless repetition of fundamental actions. The oak grows mighty not through sporadic growth, but through countless days of steady expansion. I learned this not in philosophy schools, but in military training. A soldier becomes great not by learning 1,000 different sword strokes, but by practicing the basic strikes 10,000 times. The same motion, the same focus, the same precision, the same purpose. Until the movement becomes not just action, but identity. Your first task is to understand excellence is not an act, but a habit, and habits are built not through inspiration, but through repetition, the same action, performed again and again with full attention and unwavering commitment. This is how mastery is forged. Consider the nature of mastery. The archer shoots the same target thousands of times. The musician plays the same scales countless hours. The writer writes daily, whether inspired or not. The warrior practices the same forms, endlessly. The craftsman makes the same piece repeatedly. Excellence emerges from this devoted repetition. The undisciplined mind rebels against repetition. It craves variety. It seeks novelty. It demands excitement. It resists routine. It fights sameness. But look deeper. Look at anything of lasting value. Nature teaches this truth. The ocean carved the cliffs through endless repetition. The tree grew mighty through countless identical days. The river cut the canyon through persistent flow. The mountain rose through repeated geological forces. The pearl formed through constant irritation. Your discipline must follow nature's wisdom. Success is not built through sporadic bursts, but through consistent, repeated actions. Each repetition is a layer. Each iteration adds strength. Each practice deepens mastery. Watch how this principle transforms daily. Practice. Don't seek new methods. Master the basics. Don't chase shortcuts. Embrace the long path. Don't demand variety. Welcome sameness. Don't expect instant results. Trust the process. Don't look for tricks. Perfect fundamentals. The power of repetition lies in its depth, not its surface. Each repetition takes you deeper. First level, learning the form. Second level, refining the movement. Third level, understanding the principle. Fourth level, becoming the action. Fifth level, transcending the technique. But remember, mindless repetition breeds stagnation. Each repetition must be performed with full attention. Each practice must carry the intention to improve. Each iteration must seek subtle refinement. Each attempt must pursue greater. Understanding each repetition must serve mastery. The disciplined understand that mastery has no finish line. There is no point where you can say, I have repeated enough. The master archer still practices basic form. The master musician still plays scales. The master warrior still drills fundamentals. The master craftsman still perfects basics. Let others chase the new and novel. Let them jump from method to method. Let them seek quick results. Let them abandon practice when boredom sets in. Let them pursue constant variation you have chosen differently. Your power builds through daily practice of fundamental skills, constant refinement of basic actions, persistent focus on core principles, unwavering commitment to repetition, endless pursuit of deeper understanding. This is not exciting work. It is not glamorous. It will not make headlines. It will not draw applause. It will not impress the crowd. But it is the work that builds lasting excellence. Remember, the universe itself works through repetition. Day follows night. Season follows season. Tide follows tide. Cycle follows cycle. Your discipline should mirror this eternal truth. Excellence is not in what you do occasionally, but in what you do consistently, not in your rare efforts, but in your regular practice, not in your special attempts, but in your standard actions. Your task is simple but demanding. Choose your fundamental actions, practice them daily, repeat them until they become not just actions but identity, until they become not what you do but who you are. This is how the disciplined build greatness, not through revolutionary moments but through evolutionary repetition, not through sudden breakthroughs but through steady, persistent, relentless practice, one repetition at a time, one day at a time, without end. Every yes costs you 1,000 no's. The undisciplined say yes to everything, to every request, every opportunity, every distraction. They scatter their force across 1,000 fronts, fighting every battle, chasing every possibility. The disciplined understand that power lies not in what you embrace, but in what you refuse. Your no's are the chisel that carves your life's masterpiece. I write this from experience. As emperor, I faced endless demands, countless requests, infinite distractions. Every petitioner sought audience, every problem demanded attention, every crisis called for response, every opportunity required consideration. I learned that greatness comes not from trying to do everything, but from having the strength to do what matters and refuse what doesn't. Your first task is to understand. Every time you say yes, you say no to everything else that could occupy that time, that energy, that life. Your yeses are limited. Your resources are finite. Your energy has bounds. Your time has limits. Your no's must protect them. Watch how the undisciplined handle choices. They say yes to seem agreeable. They say yes to avoid conflict. They say yes out of FOMO. They say yes without thinking. They say yes from weakness. But the disciplined approach choice differently. They evaluate each request against their purpose. They consider the hidden costs of each yes. They understand that each no preserves power. They make their decisions from strength. They choose with strategic clarity. Begin strengthening your no to distractions that steal your focus. No to commitments that drain your energy. No to relationships that compromise your values. No to activities that scatter your force. No to opportunities that dilute your purpose. Your no's must be clear without being cruel, firm, without being harsh, quick without being thoughtless, final without being rigid, strong without being arrogant. But remember, the goal is not to become a perpetual refuser. Your no's serve your yeses. You say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. You refuse the many to serve the vital few. You decline the average to pursue the excellent. You reject the temporary to build the permanent. The power of no must be practiced daily. When social media beckons, say no. When trivial tasks demand attention, say no. When others' priorities threaten yours, say no. When comfort calls you from your purpose, say no. When mediocrity invites compromise, say no. The disciplined understand that every great achievement is built on refusal. Every master became great not just by what they did, but by what they refused to do. Every champion succeeded not just through what they accepted, but through what they rejected. Every leader emerged not just by what they embraced, but by what they eliminated. Consider how this principle clarifies your life. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" ask, "Should I do this?" Instead of asking, "Will this help?" ask, "Is this the best use of my time?" Instead of asking, "What will they think?" ask, "What does my purpose require?" Instead of asking, "Why not?" ask, "Why?" Instead of asking, "What might I miss?" ask, "What might I gain by refusing?" Let others try to do everything. Let them scatter their force across 1,000 tasks. Let them dilute their power through endless commitments. Let them waste their energy on trivial pursuits. Let them say yes to every request. Let them chase every opportunity you have chosen differently. Your no's are your armor. They protect your time. They guard your energy. They preserve your focus. They maintain your direction. They defend your purpose. This is not about being negative. It's about being purposeful. Every no is a yes to something. More important, every refusal is an investment in what truly matters. Every rejection is a commitment to excellence. Every decline is an affirmation of purpose. Remember, the sculptor creates by removing what doesn't belong. The warrior wins by refusing unnecessary battles. The sage gains wisdom by eliminating unnecessary knowledge. The leader succeeds by focusing on essential priorities. The master excels by rejecting needless complexity. Your task is clear but challenging. Strengthen your no-make. It clear, make it firm. Make it serve your highest purpose. Make it protect your deepest commitments. Let your no's be the walls that protect your yeses. Let your refusals be the foundation of your achievements. Let your rejections be the guardian of your excellence. Let your declines be the sentinel of your purpose. Let your denials be the keeper of your power. This is how the disciplined create greatness, not by trying to do everything, but by refusing to do anything less than what matters. Most your no's are not negative. They are the positive assertion of your chosen purpose. They are the declaration of your disciplined path. Between the impulse and the action lies the battlefield where discipline is won or lost. The undisciplined live in this gap, filling it with hesitation, doubt, and endless preparation. They make that space between decision and action their permanent residence. The disciplined close this gap with immediate action. They understand that life happens in moments of decision, not moments of consideration. I write this not from theory, but from the command of armies. In battle, a moment's hesitation can mean defeat. A second's delay can cost victory. A minute's pause can lose advantage. An hour's waiting can forfeit opportunity. A day's postponement can surrender initiative. The same principle applies to your daily battles. Your first task is to understand motion beats meditation, not thoughtless motion, but decisive action, following clear thought. The time to move is not when you feel ready. It is when you know what must be done. Everything else is resistance in disguise. Watch how the undisciplined handle action. They wait for perfect conditions. They seek more information. They look for validation. They prepare endlessly. They polish plans infinitely. But the disciplined approach action differently. They start before they feel ready. They learn through doing. They validate through results. They prepare through action. They perfect through practice. Begin closing your action gaps. When you know you should exercise, start now. When you know you should speak, speak now. When you know you should create, create now. When you know you should change, change now. When you know you should begin, begin now. The power of immediate action lies in its momentum. Each quick decision, each immediate response, each instant implementation, each rapid execution builds your action reflex like a muscle. But remember, this is not about reckless speed. It's about eliminating unnecessary delay. The space between knowing and doing should be just wide enough for wisdom, not wide enough for fear, just enough for strategy, not enough for doubt practice. Immediate action in small things. The moment you wake, rise. The moment you think of calling, call. The moment you see what needs doing, do it. The moment you make a decision, act on it. The moment you recognize opportunity, seize it. Your actions must be decisive without being rash, quick without being hurried, committed without being rigid, complete without being perfect, immediate without being thoughtless. The disciplined understand. That time is not a friend of action. The longer you wait between decision and implementation, the more likely you are to fall prey to second guessing, loss of momentum, growing resistance, competing priorities, mounting fears. Consider how this principle transforms your effectiveness. Instead of planning to start planning. Instead of preparing to act to prepare. Instead of waiting for clarity, seek clarity through action. Instead of looking for the right time, make this the right time. Instead of seeking perfect conditions, create conditions through action. Let others wait for perfect moments. Let them polish their plans endlessly. Let them seek one more piece of information. Let them wait for one more confirmation. Let them looks for one more sign. Let them delay for one more day. You have chosen differently. Your action is your power. It cuts through confusion. It builds momentum. It generates feedback. It creates reality. It shapes circumstance. This is not about being hasty. It's about being decisive. Every moment between decision and action is a moment where doubt can grow, where resistance can build, where momentum can die. Remember, the universe rewards action, not intention. The book in your mind helps no one. The business you're planning employs no one. The change you're considering changes nothing. The help you're thinking about aids no one. Only action makes thought real. Your task is clear but demanding. When you know what must be done, act not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when conditions are perfect now. This moment, this instant, this is how the disciplined turn knowledge into power, decisions into reality, intentions into results, thoughts into achievements, plans into accomplishments. This is how greatness is built, not through grand plans, but through immediate actions. Not through perfect timing, but through perfect commitment to imperfect action. Close the gap between thought and action, between decision and implementation, between intention and execution, between planning and doing, between knowing and achieving. Act now. The time will never be better, the conditions will never be perfect, the path will never be clearer, the moment will never be more right than this one right now. Your body is not separate from your discipline. It is the first territory where discipline must reign. The undisciplined treat their body as a source of pleasure, a vessel for comfort, a tool for indulgence. The disciplined understand that the body is the foundation of all achievement, the instrument through which will becomes reality, the bridge between intention and action. I write this not as a philosopher alone, but as a soldier who knew that physical weakness undermines mental strength. In war, a weak body betrays a strong mind. In governance, physical frailty compromises judgment. In life itself, bodily discipline underlies all other disciplines. I saw how a trained body serves the disciplined mind, while an untrained body betrays even the strongest will. Your first task is to understand. Physical discipline is not about vanity. It's not about appearance. It's not about impressing others. It's not about social status. It's about creating an instrument capable of executing your will, a body that responds, to command that endures when weak minds quit, that serves rather than dictates. Watch how the undisciplined treat their body. They feed it what it craves. They rest when it complains. They stop when it resists. They surrender when it rebels. They yield when it protests. But the disciplined approach the body differently. They feed it what it needs. They rest it strategically. They push it purposefully. They train it systematically. They strengthen it progressively. Begin with fundamental physical discipline. Rise early despite the body's protests. Train regularly despite the body's resistance. Fast periodically despite the body's demands. Endure discomfort despite the body's complaints. Work through fatigue despite the body's pleas. The power of physical discipline extends far beyond the body. It builds mental toughness. It develops willpower. It strengthens resolve. It proves self-mastery. It demonstrates command. But remember, this is not about punishment. The disciplined don't torture their body. They train it like a horse that must be broken before it can be ridden. The body must be disciplined before it can serve. Harsh treatment creates rebellion. Wise training creates alliance practice. Physical discipline daily. Cold exposure to strengthen resolve. Hunger, exposure to master appetite. Fatigue, exposure to build. Endurance discomfort, exposure to toughen spirit. Resistance, exposure to increase strength. Your physical training must be consistent without being destructive, challenging without being damaging, progressive without being reckless, purposeful without being punishing, demanding without being devastating. The disciplined understand that physical training is mental training. Every rep is a decision. Every mile is a lesson in persistence. Every round is a test of will. Every workout is character development. Every training session is mind strengthening. When the body says stop, the mind must command. When the body seeks comfort, the mind demands growth. When the body fears pain, the mind embraces challenge. When the body wants ease, the mind chooses difficulty. When the body craves rest, the mind pushes forward. Consider how physical discipline transforms your entire being. Instead of serving comfort, you command it. Instead of avoiding pain, you use it. Instead of fearing limits, you expand them. Instead of seeking ease, you seek growth. Instead of yielding to weakness, you build strength. Let others pamper their body. Let them serve its whims. Let them yield to its demands. Let them surrender to its weakness. Let them worship its comfort. You have chosen differently. Your body is your first empire. Conquer its resistance, command its energy, direct its power, shape its capabilities, forge its strength. This is not about achieving physical perfection. It's about building physical capability. Every workout is will training. Every fast is mind strengthening. Every cold shower is resolve building. Every challenge is character forging. Remember, the body is the foundation of all action. The strongest mind cannot compensate for a weak body. The clearest vision cannot overcome physical limitation. The greatest wisdom needs physical endurance to apply. The highest purpose requires bodily strength to achieve. Train your body not for show, but for service, not for appearance, but for capability, not for admiration, but for action, not for display, but for duty, not for praise, but for purpose. Your task is clear but demanding. Build a body that serves your purpose. Train it daily. Challenge it regularly. Strengthen it consistently. Discipline it wisely. This is how. Greatness is built, not through occasional effort, but through daily physical discipline, not through comfort, but through calculated challenge. Make your body your ally, not your master. This is the foundation of all other discipline. Master your body, command your physical realm, rule your first kingdom, control your primary instrument, then all other victories become possible. Rest is not surrender. It is strategy. The undisciplined collapse into rest, using it as an escape, treating it as the absence of effort, seeing it as a void of purpose. They rest like a building crumbling. The disciplined understand that true rest is an active principle, a calculated recovery, a strategic renewal of force. They rest like a tiger rests, alert, ready, conscious. I write this from the perspective of one who commanded armies. I learned that rest is not the opposite of action. It is preparation for action. A sword must be sheathed to stay sharp. A bow must be unstrung to maintain its power. A warrior must rest to preserve his strength. An army must regroup to maintain its force. Your first task is to understand. Rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. But like all wisdom, it must be applied with discipline. The goal is not to stop, but to recharge, not to escape, but to prepare, not to collapse, but to rebuild, not to surrender, but to strengthen. Watch how the undisciplined rest. They crash from exhaustion. They binge. On distraction, they lose all momentum. They forget their purpose. They surrender their gains. But the disciplined approach rest differently. They schedule their recovery. They maintain awareness. They preserve momentum. They prepare for return. They Protect their progress. Begin with strategic rest, rest before exhaustion. Not after rest with purpose, not escape, rest with awareness, not unconsciousness. Rest with recovery in mind, not relief. Rest with return planned, not forgotten. The power of disciplined rest lies in its quality. It recharges without weakening it, refreshes without dulling. It renews without releasing. It restores without retiring. It rebuilds without regressing. But remember, rest is not inactivity. The disciplined rest, like a tiger, rests, alert, ready, conscious, prepared. They maintain their edge even in repose. Practice strategic rest daily. Brief pauses between focused work, scheduled recovery between challenges, mindful breaks between commitments, active restoration between efforts, purposeful pauses between engagements. Your rest must be intentional without being tense, relaxed without being lazy, refreshing without being indulgent, restorative without being excessive, purposeful without being strained. The disciplined understand that rest has levels. Physical rest to rebuild the virus, body-mental rest to clear the mind, emotional rest to restore balance, spiritual rest to renew purpose, strategic rest to sharpen focus. Consider how this transforms your approach to recovery. Instead of collapsing, you decompress. Instead of escaping, you restore. Instead of avoiding, you prepare. Instead of stopping, you recharge. Instead of surrendering, you strengthen. Let others use rest as surrender. Let them collapse into unconsciousness. Let them lose their edge in comfort. Let them forget their purpose in pleasure. Let them waste their recovery in distraction. You have chosen differently. Your rest is your renewal. It builds your strength. It sharpens your edge. It clears your mind. It prepares your spirit. It focuses your force. This is not about complete shutdown. It's about strategic recovery. Every rest period is preparation. Every pause is positioning. Every break is building. Every recovery is readying. Remember, the archer cannot hold full draw forever. The warrior cannot maintain battle stance endlessly. The mind cannot focus eternally. The body cannot exert continuously. The will cannot push perpetually. Strategic rest is what makes sustained excellence possible. Your task is clear but subtle. Master the art of active rest. Learn to recover without releasing your discipline. Learn to pause without losing your power. Learn to rest without falling asleep to your purpose. Learn to recharge without disconnecting from your mission. This is how the disciplined maintain their edge, not through endless action, but through strategic recovery, not through constant motion, but through calculated stillness, not through perpetual push, but through purposeful pause. Practice rest as disciplined as you practice action. Schedule it, control it, use it, master it, direct it. This is how you maintain your power without burning out. This is how you sustain your discipline without breaking down. This is how you continue your advance without retreating. This is how you preserve your gains without losing ground. This is how you build your strength without weakening. Rest to build strength, not to escape challenge. Rest to sharpen your blade, not to sheath it forever. Rest to fuel your advance, not to end your journey. True. Discipline seeks not applause, but excellence. The undisciplined chase recognition, celebrating every small victory, demanding attention for every achievement, seeking validation for every effort. They turn their journey into a performance. The disciplined understand a deeper truth. Greatness needs no announcement. The mighty oak does not proclaim its growth. The river does not boast of its power. They simply are what they are. I write this as one who held the highest office, yet sought the quiet path of philosophy. I learned that true power moves in silence, that lasting impact comes not from what we claim, but from what we quietly achieve. The greatest victory is the one that needs no audience. The deepest mark is the one made without fanfare. Your first task is to understand you are not here to impress, but to impact, not to seem, but to be, not to gather praise, but to create value, not to draw attention, but to do what matters, not to be seen, but to serve purpose. The disciplined life is not a performance, it is a practice. Watch how the undisciplined approach achievement. They announce their intentions before acting. They seek constant validation during effort. They celebrate prematurely before completion. They display every small win as if it were final. They turn every step into a spectacle. The disciplined work differently. They move in silence. They validate through results. They celebrate through continued effort. They let their work speak. They find satisfaction in the doing. Begin with quiet excellence. Work without announcement. Achieve without fanfare. Grow without proclamation. Serve without recognition. Build without boasting. The power of quiet discipline lies in its focus. All energy goes to the work. All attention serves the goal. All effort builds real value. All force creates actual change. No power lost to performance. But remember, this is not about false modesty. The disciplined don't diminish their achievements. They simply don't need them validated by others. They find their worth in the work itself, their satisfaction in the service rendered, their fulfillment in the value created. Practice quiet excellence daily. Do more than you say. Build more than you show. Know more than you tell. Be more than you claim. Give more than you promise. Your work must be excellent. Without being showy, impactful, without being loud, powerful, without being boastful, meaningful without being marketed, valuable without being valedictory. The disciplined understand that life is not a dress rehearsal. It is the performance, not a preparation for something else, but the thing itself. Each moment is both journey and destination. Each effort, both practice and performance. They aim to reach their end fully spent, having used every gift, having expressed every talent, having served every purpose, having given every effort, having spent every resource, like an arrow that has found its mark, like a wave that has reached the shore, like a fire that has given all its heat, like a runner who has spent every ounce, like a warrior who has fought his last battle. Consider how this changes your approach to life. Instead of seeking recognition, seek impact. Instead of chasing applause, chase excellence. Instead of building image, build substance. Instead of leaving reserves, spend it all. Instead of saving yourself, give yourself. Let others showcase their journey. Let them demand attention. For every step, let them seek validation for every effort. Let them save their strength for show. Let them perform. Rather than perform, you have chosen differently. Your legacy is in your impact, not in what you claimed, but what you built, not in what you promised, but what you delivered, not in what you kept, but what you gave, not in what you saved, but what you spent, not in what you said, but what you did. This is not about hiding your light. It's about focusing. Its power. Every ounce of energy spent on appearance is energy stolen from substance. Every moment spent seeking validation is a moment lost from creation. Remember, at life's end, you will not be judged by what you said, but by what you did, by what you kept, but by what you gave, by what you saved, but by what you spent, by what you gathered, but by what you shared, by what you gained, but by what you contributed. Your final task is clear but profound. Live fully. Give completely. End. Spent. Let your discipline speak through your impact, not your words. Let your legacy be not in what you said you would do, but in what you did. This is how the disciplined live and die, not with fanfare, but with fulfillment, not with reserves, but fully spent, not with regrets about what they saved, but with peace about what they gave, not with thoughts of what they kept, but with satisfaction in what they shared. Win quietly. End completely. Leave nothing unused. Keep nothing in reserve. Save nothing for later. This is the ultimate victory of discipline.